Hey there. I have a separate video homework for chapter 12, impairments. And instead of going back and redoing the other video, this is a video that will have only 3 exercises on it. So what you'll need to do is these exercises on here, this is what you should follow for exercise 5 of 10, 6 of 10, and 10 of 10. All right, so you'll see that as we go through this. And I'll make a comment about that as well in my communication to you. So I'm going to share the screen here. You should be able to see that now. So that's where we're picking up on is exercise 5 of 10. Because Pearson finally has updated their homework to have the one-step process for impairment of goodwill. Used to be 2 steps, which the old homework, which you see out there on the previous video, has. But this is what you should follow and what you'll see when you actually work the homework in Pearson. So what we have here in exercise 5, which looks very similar, which is brief exercise BE 12-6. It says events and circumstances indicate the need for Lumber-Schafer to undertake quantitative testing of goodwill. Most companies do this annually, but here they have reason to believe that they need to do this. It says the current carrying value, which is book value, the reported goodwill is $800,300. The goodwill pertains to the reporting unit. The book value of the assets, net assets of the reporting unit, excluding goodwill, is $1,206,000. Fair value of the reporting unit, including goodwill, is $2,205,000. So all you're doing is adding the $800,300 to the $1,206, right? That's probably right here in the solution. Yeah, to get to $2,006,000, and then you're just comparing, is my book value greater than or less than? It should be less than. So my book value is less than fair value, so there is no impairment. Had my book value been higher, then I would have written that book value down to the fair value using goodwill. All right, so very straightforward. Let's look at the next one, number 6 of 10, which is BE 12-7. This one's a little more involved, and a couple of things on here they try to make confusing, I think. It says Buckeye Craft Designs reported goodwill of $606,000 related to its Ralph Avenue division. The fair value of Ralph Avenue is $2,502,000, and the carrying value of Ralph Avenue's net assets, excluding goodwill, is reported at $2,102,000 and appraised at $23,414. The appraisal value has nothing to do with this problem. They've just thrown that in there just to make it confusing. It says determine whether goodwill is impaired and prepare any journal entry necessary to record an impairment loss. So what you see there, the fair value of the reporting unit. Let me open that. It's $2,502,000, which is given. And the carrying value of the reporting unit, 2708, is simply the $2,102,000 plus the 606. So 2,102,000 plus 606 is 2,708,000. So there, the carrying value is more than fair value, and that's a red flag. That means in this one-step process now, the impairment, there is impairment. So yes, and impairment is simply, let's see here. Doesn't want to cooperate, does it? Well, we don't need that anyway. So $206,000. So we need to write down goodwill, which has a debit balance. Goodwill needs to be written down $206,000. All right. So the impairment loss is $206,000. And I believe that is all of that exercise. All right, so it won't let me open that for some reason, but that's no problem. All right, and then the last one, the number 3 that I want you to look at is exercise 10 of 10. Okay, it's finally come back now. Let's go back to that. Number 10. So 10 of 10, exercise 12-5 is a goodwill and an impairment issue question. So here we've got Wagner paid $1.6 million to acquire the 100% of the common stock of Tahara Incorporated. Plant assets are undervalued by $47,000. You know, if you go back and look at that exercise I had in the other video for chapter 12 homework, where I worked that sample problem, remember, you're putting only the assets and the liabilities on the books of the company that you purchased. You don't care about their stockholders' equity, none of that. Retained earnings. So you're putting on there the assets and liabilities at fair market value. So if it's higher or lower, that's what you want to put it on the books as, not book value. You don't care about their book value. It will become your book. Their fair market value will become your book value. So what they're saying here is those assets and liabilities, whichever they are, maybe the liabilities are being written down, maybe the assets are being written up, doesn't matter. They're just saying $47,000 undervalued. So if they paid $1.6 million for this company and the book value of the assets is $1,502,000, excluding goodwill, then the excess of cost over book value is $97,500, which you think that should be the goodwill, but you need to reduce that goodwill by the increase in the plant assets. So in fact, goodwill should be $50,500. All right, part B says determine whether goodwill is impaired, assuming the fair value at the Tahara division with goodwill 1 year after acquisition is equal to $2,003,000. All right, so what's the book value? Well, I hope it lets me open this because we have to look at this. What you're doing there is you've got a balance sheet and you're adding up all your assets, including the goodwill on the left side, and you're subtracting the accounts payable. There it is, thank goodness. So if I add up all of my cash inventory, PP&E, goodwill, $2,029,700, and I subtract the $400,700, what is that? $2,029,700 minus $400,700. That is $1,629,000. So again, if I add all that up and subtract the $400,700, I get $1,629. And so what does that tell me? Fair value is more than the book value. That's what it should be. So there is no impairment. Your goodwill that's in this book value stays as is. It's not written down. It's not written up either. And then part C says, assuming that, or determine whether goodwill is impaired if the fair value is $1,617,000. So in that case, yes, there is impairment, right? So we want to write down goodwill by $12,000. It's a good exercise. It pulls it all together. Interesting how they requirement B, how they do common stock and retained earnings get to net assets. So net assets, that's the same as assets minus liabilities, right? Yeah. A little confusing to call that because we want to ignore common stock and retained earnings. All right. So those were 3 exercises I wanted to share with you that changed from the initial or the original 30/20 chapter 12 homework. So when you come across those 3 exercises in the original video, ignore that and look at this. So go through those 7 that are still good in that video, along with the other instruction I had there, and then jump to this to do the last 3, which are goodwill related. All right, thank you, and I hope you have a great day.